Okay, I am live. Hey YouTube, how you doing? I very rarely go live on TikTok, but I felt that this live was going to be very important as I'm going to be breaking down the stars of Mark Zuckerberg, or as my kids call him, Mark Zuckerberg. So let me get my shit together and let me see what's going on here on YouTube. Hey everybody. I'm blind. Okay, let me bring his chart up. Like I said, I am broadcasting on 2 platforms. So if you're not getting a good broadcast on my phone from YouTube, then or from TikTok, please go to my YouTube channel, The Astrology Witch. And we are going to break down his stars on my YouTube channel. There is his chart sitting there. Now, there is going to be a few things that are off because I do not have his birth time. So his midheaven is off. His ascending will be off. Black Moon Lilith and Chiron will be off because of that. However, once I can obtain your dragon's head and tail, because I am an ancient astrologer, I practice Babylonian and Nostradamus. I don't practice modern. So I focus on his housing system and the dragon energies, which are the north and south node of the moon. So we're going to take it from there. So if you want to look at his chart, you'll have to go into my YouTube channel to do that. Okay, so let me bring up his chart, and I am going to put my glasses on because I am blind. And like I said, I don't go live on TikTok too often, so please bear with me. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Mark Zuckerberg was born on May 14th, 1984. He has a north node. His natal dragon's energy is in Gemini, which rules his second house. Second house is the house of wealth and money. And Mark Zuckerberg does have several billionaire placements. So makes perfect sense that he is a billionaire, but he is a sun sign in Taurus. He has a south node in Sagittarius in his 8th house. This is the Scorpio house, the scorpionic platonic energy house. I call it the death house. It's the darker house. It's the house of life, death, rebirth, transformation, sex, and sexuality. He has that sitting right on his 8th house. So we'll get into some more of his 8th house when I get to the 8th house. Okay, let me bring up his chart. I've highlighted a whole bunch of things on his chart. And after I'm done with this broadcast, I will be going to my website, theastrologywitch.com, and I will be posting this in writing. I'm more of a writer than a broadcaster. So I will be writing up this chart for all of you to see. You're going to have to give me some time to write it up, though it's halfway written. But I did want to get on here because I don't see myself getting any more time today to do this. So Taurus is actually one of my favorite zodiac signs. Maybe it's because I'm Capricorn. I understand them, and they're very hardworking. Their mindset is very practical and rational. All earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, will usually have rational thought. But Sun and Taurus, they're very well known for their stubbornness. They are a fixed sign, just like their polar opposite, Scorpio. And they can anger quickly. And I mean that literally, because I had a father who was Taurus, and when he would get mad, they explode, they erupt. And then they go into their little pasture, and I call it Ferdinand grazing. They go into their little pasture and they calm themselves down and they come back. However, if you've really fucked them over, they will never forgive and never forget. So it is a fixed sign. So this is the sign that will not forgive you. And they can't forget either. There's this, it's one of the signs that has a hard time letting go. Let's put it that way. But since they are an earth sign, they usually have their feet planted firmly on terra firma, on a firm ground. They're practical and stable people, and they will not hesitate to spend money extravagantly on the finer things in life. They appreciate fine music and fine art, things like that, fine wines. A lot of Tauruses usually have a very beautiful home, especially if they have a Venus in Taurus as well, which he does. He also has Venus sitting in his first house, which is dignified, meaning that it is in its governing sign. Taurus is ruled by Venus and Libra. So this becomes dignified. And when this is dignified, the energies are a little more stronger, meaning that they're a little more jealous and can be a little more possessive. Like I said, my dad was a Taurus and used to follow my mother all around LA. Very possessive. Okay. All right, moving on here. Let's see. So yes, they love the finer things in life. And like I said, since Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is also ruled the sign of love, Venus rules love and romance. Um, Taurus souls are very romantic. They're very affectionate and sensuous. Um, and they're very fiercely protective of their mates. And I can see that with my own father, with my mother. You did not fuck with my mother, or you fuck with the bull, you get the horns. My dad went to war for her. So um, it's not easy for a Taurus to have radical change because they're a slow moving sign. So they move slower, not in the physical presence, but the energy is a slower moving energy. What else can I say about Taurus? They're naturally graceful, charming, and they can be very interesting people. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, the complexity of his entire chart, he's not a, per se a bad soul in any sense of the way, but there's a jealousy there with TikTok, and there's a jealousy there with the CEO of TikTok. Now, I'm going to break down the CEO of TikToks as well. And tomorrow I'm going to come back and break down Facebook. The only thing with Facebook, and I will need your help out there if you want to DM me, I only have a month and a year for the inception of Facebook. I do not have a date. So with that, I only can do a reading on Facebook so much. I mean, I can pinpoint certain things, and I don't know if Facebook is even going to be around in the year 2026. You know, it's a couple of years away, but there's a lot of transitioning going on. But talking about Zuckerberg, let's move over into his second house. This is a house of wealth and finance and money, possessions, self-esteem of oneself. It's in the second house. He also has a natal dragon's head sitting in the second house of money in Gemini. So his second into Gemini, it's not an accident. Think about this. What does Gemini represent? Gemini represents media, social media. It represents curiosity, communication, transportation, represents the respiratory system. Anytime you have this sitting in the second house, any dragon's tail sitting in this, or any dragon's head, north node sitting in the second house, you're always going to have someone who is going to be either a billionaire or a millionaire or very blessed with finances in whatever world they're in. Is everything okay? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Where was I? Gemini, second house. He has a lot of millionaire placements in his chart. So the dragon's head sitting in the second is one of them. Other than that, everything in his second house is all clear, but he is he was destined to be a millionaire in some sort of social media platform or media in some way. Now, let me just go over and check my YouTube channel. Bear with me. Okay. All right, moving on. So he also has his, so moving on to the third house. Before I go on, this also creates a like a mental genius. He's not a stupid man. He's incredibly smart. In some ways, this can be the truth seeker, but I think he will fudge the numbers and fudge the truth so that it can suit his own agenda, if that makes any sense. All right, hold on. Scrolling. Third house is all clear. His fourth house is all clear. Now, please remember, there are 84 or 85 different ways to run an astrology chart. This is just one way. There are other astrologers that run theirs a different way, that put planets in different houses. So I've had people come at me and bitch and moan about things, and I could clearly tell that they're not very educated in any type of astrology. So before you come at me and go, that's not accurate and that's not true, remember there's 85 different ways to run an astrology chart. Okay. Fifth house is all clear. His sixth house is all clear. We're going to move on to his seventh house because that's the big one. The seventh house has a stellium. A stellium is when you have 3 or more planets stationed in one house, it takes on this very strong energy. I have a stellium in Capricorn, so I take on a lot of Capricorn energy. He has a stellium in Scorpio sitting on his 7th house. What does the 7th house rule? The 7th house, besides marriage, it rules partnerships, contracts. So this represents business. So when he becomes a Scorpio in his business life, and he's very shrewd in his business life. Let me go to my notes. Let's start with the moon. He has a moon in Scorpio. And anytime you're dealing with a moon in Scorpio, you are dealing with emotions that are very intense and often fluctuate between extreme love and hate, sadness and happiness. There's highs, there's lows, there's ups, there's downs. Remember, Scorpio is a water sign. So moon is our emotions. Throw in a water sign, which takes on a stronger energy of emotions. It is difficult for him to totally understand his own emotional makeup because of the depth and complexity of his stars. And as a matter of fact, his friends, lovers, and family members who are closest to him are probably know him better than he knows himself in some ways. Now, in his relationships, he can be very possessive and jealous, and this is business and partnerships. So if memory serves me correctly, and if any of you in the chat, please let me know. My understanding is that the CEO of TikTok used to work in 2008 or 2009 for Facebook. Okay. So there could be some jealousy there. Mark Zuckerberg is very, very jealous of the CEO of TikTok. Okay. That I could see from his stars. Very jealous. He wants to destroy it. He wants to destroy this platform. And there's 150 million of us Americans that use this app. And 5 million of us use it for business. Reddit is owned by China. Why aren't we going after Reddit? What is it? Telegraph or Telegram is run by Russia. Why aren't we going after that? No, it's because we're getting our news and things on here that we've never learned before. I've learned so much about history and the things that haven't been told on TikTok. I've been educated by POC community on shit you would never hear in your history class. ever. And TikTok has its pros and cons, but there's a jealousy here with this because it's becoming very, very popular. I didn't even broadcast this on Facebook. I'm not going to delete it because I have a business connected to it, but it goes dormant. I'm going to keep it dormant. Okay, moving on with the moon. So, like I said, they could be very possessive souls with this moon. They can, when you have a Scorpio moon, you can become very cruel and vindictive if you have been hurt. Okay. This placement will never forget a wrong that someone has done to them, and they will plot and plan for years or even decades to get their revenge. What does that say? Oh my God, what happened? Okay. We have idiots. And I know this is not going to be for everybody. There's going to be, I find morons on TikTok too. So if, I'm just here to give you this message, nothing more. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. You can fuck off. So they do like to seek revenge. And please remember, Scorpio moon is also a fixed energy. So with a sun in Taurus and a moon in Scorpio, we've got a whole clusterfuck of stubbornness. Now, this can also create bad memories from his childhood and how do I say this? There are scars there from his childhood in some way. He's not the kind of person, most people with a Scorpio moon are never going to show their emotions or put their head on, put their heart out on their sleeve. They will keep that all under wraps. They're intensely emotional, but they'll project that calm, cool exterior to you. They won't show you that they're unhinged. Now, people with this moon placement often achieve success in life, but often success brings more problems than failures. The issue of power over others is strong in his life, and he it's probably rooted in his own relationships with his mother in some way. Um, what else can I say here? The downfall to this placement is that you don't use and abuse others to achieve your own selfish ends. And I do believe he has done that. If you do, you'll live to regret it. So let's see, what else can I say about the moon? The moon is in a critical degree in his seventh house. So when a planet is in a critical degree, it's going to represent more challenges for people. And he does have about 1, 2, 3, 4 planets in critical degrees. Where are they? I wrote them down. Hold on. He has the moon, he has Jupiter, and 3 planets. The moon, Jupiter, and Neptune are all in critical degrees, but where Jupiter and Neptune are placed, this is the millionaire placement. We'll get to that in a minute. Moving on from the moon, like I said, he does have critical degrees in his moon, and his emotions are intense. But moving on, he gets mad when his advice is not taken. So that's one of his little pet peeves, I think, and issues with him, with not necessarily himself, but his partnerships around him. Let me scroll down to the 7th house because there's so much going on in that 7th house. Here we go. Now, his close personal relationships are going to be a source of conflict because he has Mars sitting in the 7th house. And Mars, wherever Mars is placed in one's chart, it has 2 energies. It has a sexual energy, the desire principle, what a mate desires in another mate, but it also has the danger principle and where danger can come. Now, he has this sitting in his 7th house. So his close personal relationships could be a source of conflict in his life. And he has a tendency to pick partners apart. How else can I put this? There's an aggressive nature to him. You may not see it to the general public, but I guarantee you people who've worked in Facebook have probably seen it in many ways. In order for his life in the seventh house to be more harmonious, he's going to need to avoid a tendency to jump into altercations with others without first making a genuine effort to understand their point of view first. Anytime you have Mars, and I'm not saying this is he is this, but Mars in the seventh house is marriage. Anytime you have that planet sitting in the seventh house, there can represent domestic abuse or domestic violence in some ways. I'm not saying that, but that is a possibility. Maybe not in this relationship, but maybe in a past, or maybe he himself has experienced some sort of domestic violence. That is Mars in his seventh. So he's got the moon, Mars, Saturn, and Pluto. 1, 2, 3, 4 things going on in the seventh, taking on a lot of the energy. And so he may be a Taurus, but he sees life very much as a Scorpio. A lot of scorpionic energy. Moving on, he also has Saturn sitting in the seventh house in Scorpio. And Saturn is the planet of hard lessons, responsibility. It's karmic in nature. Saturn is either going to, you're either going to learn hard lessons through Saturn, or you're going to be manipulated by the planet. It is the planet of manipulation. Hello. When you have Saturn in Scorpio, this is a placement where they can be very highly perceptive and have strong psychic abilities. And I do think a lot of his success has come from his, how do I put this? He goes with a feeling, or this is my gut feeling. I feel like this is going to be successful. He's got a lot of that energy in his chart, but it is difficult for him to express his feelings with this placement. But his love and his hate, the intensity of it is equal. He can love you 100%, or he can hate you 100%. Karmically, Saturn in Scorpio indicates that he may have overemphasized sex in a previous life, and he's going to have to learn in this life sexual self-discipline in this lifetime. This can also indicate issues with his own sexuality. Now, I'm not saying this is him, but one beauty of ancient astrology is you can kind of tell, especially men, if they are well endowed or not. And I do think he has issues there. I'm not going to repeat what my kids say about him, but so it is hard for him to express his feelings. He could be somewhat of a cold fish. When you have a Saturn in the seventh, I don't know much about his wife. If any of you do, please let me know. But Saturn in the seventh can indicate that you marry someone much older, because Saturn rules age and old age. It can indicate at least one difficult marriage or one difficult breakup in his lifetime. And some marry late in life. He obviously didn't. I don't know if his wife is older than him. There is that possibility. But he will have a tendency to choose partners that are older than him, at least by 5 years. Okay, we did the moon, we did Mars, we did Saturn. Now let's talk about Pluto, because he has Pluto in Scorpio, and Pluto is the generation planet, as I call it. Every generation has a placement. For example, the Gen Z generation, they're usually Pluto and Sagittarius. They're the ones that are going to break down the bullshit laws that are created. This is the generation that infiltrates from the inside and breaks it down. Now, his generation is the Pluto and Scorpio generation. This is the ride or die generation. These are the people that will live, they will die for their beliefs. They will die for their principles. Let me go down the chart here and bring it up. So yeah, every generation has a placement like that. Wherever Pluto's placed, that's your generation. Mine's Virgo. So my generation is all about environmental issues and clean water and good healthy food and shit like that. Okay, Pluto and Scorpio. So this generation was born between 1983 and 1995. And this generation has witnessed the development of revolutionary healing techniques. We've really come a long way in holistic medicine. Many of you who have this placement have strong psychic abilities and strong desires to bring about major social transformations. The only downfall to this placement is trying to not use like hypnotic influences on others to manipulate and control them. This is a strong downfall to this placement, is manipulation and control. He also has this in the 7th house. So this brings about, he's able to see both sides of the coin in some ways, but please remember, what is Pluto and what does it represent? Pluto is like not just the generation planet, it is the planet of life, death, rebirth, transformation. So it's sitting in his 7th house. I don't know how well his marriage is, or anything like that, but he's probably kind of a tyrant to work for. There's a control freak there. And if anyone is a little more successful than him, he will get angry and jealous. That's just the way his stars are. As he gets older, and I know, what is he, like in his 40s? What is he? He was born in 84. So he's going to be 40 next year. So he's still in his late 30s. He's going to have some hard lessons to learn within his partnership and business life. And this is where he's going to have to develop the fine art of compromise. But that is Pluto. Like I said, this is a very brief analysis. I'm not going to go too in depth. I do want to move to the 8th house, because the 8th house has his natal dragon's tail sitting there in Sagittarius. And normally, Sagittarius is the truth seeker of the zodiac, always searching for the truth. But he has a tail sitting there. So he will fudge the truth if it benefits him. Okay. He has one planet stationed there, and that's Uranus is in his 8th house. The 8th house is the death house. Uranus is the planet of sudden release of energy. It rules technology in some way. It rules innovation, discovery, space, UFO, science. Uranus sitting in his 8th house, when his time comes to die, he will die in a very strange and unusual way. I'm not going to say he's dying tomorrow or anything like that, but what I'm saying, when Mark Zuckerberg leaves this world, I may be dead when this happens, but when he leaves this world, he's going to die in a very strange, bizarre way. That's what I see, a very strange and bizarre way. Let me go and scroll to house 8. With me. There we go. So yes, Uranus and Sagittarius, this group of people who have this placement are usually born between 1981 and 1988. They have a very strong curiosity about foreign lands and foreign cultures, and that would make sense. And isn't his wife Chinese? I don't know if she's Chinese American or if she's from China, the mainland, but this will create someone who will marry someone of a foreign land, foreign culture. And that creates a placement where they have a very strong curiosity about foreign lands, foreign cultures. They have a strong need to express themselves in a very unique way. They're revolutionary thinkers, and this could inspire others to bring about some sort of change. His approach to life philosophically is of the utmost optimism, and he is constantly seeking spiritual enlightenment and even evolution in some ways. Now, with Uranus being in the eighth house, and he also has a natal dragon's tail, a south node sitting there, he has a strong intuition and psychic abilities once again, but how do I put this? Like I said, Sagittarius is the truth seeker of the zodiac, but when you have that tail sitting there in your eighth house, you have no regard for the law. It's your word and no other word. You will not compromise. You will fudge the numbers and the words to make it fit your agenda, and that's what he's doing. He's operating from his dragon's tail, which is something that that's something that would be done normally if how do I put this? I think our government has him by the balls. I don't know how else to say that. Happy Sunday. I don't know how else to say that. I'm trying to find the right words. I think our government has him by the balls. I think they have something on him because, our government is like the mafia in some ways. But with Uranus in the eighth, this is where he has a quick temper, and he should not drive when he's upset. In fact, anytime you have Uranus in the eighth, you usually are a really shitty driver. I would not get in a car with him. And that could be somehow how he dies. He dies in a car accident in a very bizarre and mysterious way. I'm not saying that, but that's just a possibility. Yeah, his death will be very strange, unusual, and bizarre. Okay, moving on to his, let's see, ninth house. Now, the ninth house, he is Capricorn. He has two planets there, Jupiter and Neptune, and they are both in Capricorn. This is a millionaire's placement in some ways. Let me scroll down to that. Yeah, Neptune in Capricorn from 1984 to 1996. This is the millionaire placement, and this is where people with this placement are highly ambitious and have a good head for business. They have strong intuition and practical common sense. They are builders. The Capricorn is the engineer of the zodiac. He is the builder. He either builds it all up, and if he doesn't like it, he tears it all down. That is the Capricorn energy that's in his ninth house. Let's see. What else can I say about this? Hold on. Let me scroll back up here. Now, Neptune in the ninth house, this is also a placement where he has critical degrees. So, Neptune is in its positive, it's lucid dreams, it's about deep downloads, but in its negative, it's illusions and delusions. He's idealistic and he could be very intuitive. Once again, there's a lot of intuition with this soul. He does like to travel and is fascinated with foreign lands and foreign cultures. But there is a side to him, whatever his beliefs are, where he becomes fanatical in his beliefs, and this could impair his judgment. So anything that has to do with his ninth house, the ninth house is the house of higher learning, higher knowledge. So I'm sure he's probably indoctrinated in some ways. I don't know whether it would be religion or science, but the ninth house is higher learning, higher knowledge. It is also represents laws, justice, courts, things like that. So this is why I say our government has him by the balls. There's something our government has on him. I don't know what, but it's something. This placement too does have a tendency with a Neptune and Capricorn to exaggerate the truth, fudge things to kind of make them work to their agenda. So this placement does need to avoid a tendency to exaggerate. Okay, moving on to Jupiter in Capricorn. This is another millionaire placement right here. Jupiter, where are you? Jupiter. Bear with me. Gotta scroll. Bear with me. I'm a-scrolling. Bear with me. My computer is as slow as I'll get out. There it is. Jupiter in the ninth. Once again, this placement creates highly intuitive individuals. So when it comes to money, he's intuitive. He could feel what's going to make money and what's not going to make money. Seriously, if he was telling me to invest in certain things, I would listen to him as an investor. So yes, highly intuitive and can be very interested in various religion, law, and philosophy. He'll benefit greatly from travel and dealing with foreigners. And he does have the ability to inspire others on a global perspective. And look, Facebook is global. However, he will not receive his accomplishments. Capricorn doesn't receive its gifts, its rewards until later in life. And his ninth house becomes Capricorn. So he will not receive any recognition for his accomplishments until the latter part of his life. And him going into being 40, that can be considered, midpoint. I don't consider that quite middle age yet. That's more like 50s. All right, ninth house, moving on to the 10th. He becomes Aquarius in the 10th. It is all clear. However, I'm going to throw this in here right now so I don't have to go back and do it. On July 17th, 2023, the north and south nodes shift. I call this the universal axis shifting, and it shifts from a Taurus Scorpio axis into a Aries Libra. And that's going to be affecting certain things. But Pluto, let's talk about that, because Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Natally, he has Pluto in Scorpio. But right now, Pluto is stationed right on his 10th house for the next 4 months until Pluto jumps back into Capricorn. So with that being said, Pluto, once again, life, death, rebirth, transformation. You're going to see his business life either be shaken up to where he has to transform and transition. There's a death of some sort. It's not physical, but hypothetical death of some sort within his career. His 10th house. What is the 10th house? The 10th house is career. It's public standing. It's goals. It's accomplishments. It's how the public views you. And there's crap going to be coming out. And I know all you TikTok soldiers out there are digging deep for shit on him. There's a lot of crap in the next 4 months. He's going to feel the power of Pluto and Aquarius right on his 10th house. And I don't think it's going to make him look very good at all. But there's going to be some kind of major drama or shocking news within his 10th house, which is career. All right, moving on to his 11th. Now, I do say Facebook's gone by 2026, but I have to go and look at Facebook stars before I make that assumption. and really look at it. But 11th house, he becomes Pisces. It is all clear. However, 11th house is friends and wishes, social status, social events, social gatherings. And he has Neptune and Saturn moving through there right now. So this will be older friends coming into his life to help him. I do know that most of our Congress are invested heavily in Facebook. So it would make perfect sense to try and get rid of TikTok because they're been paid by their lobbyists. And this goes for Democrats and Republicans. I give two shits about either party. You're both part of the same coin. You're a two-headed one-party system. So be aware of that. This is where Saturn and Pisces takes off those rose-colored glasses and you start to see your fucking government for how it really fucking is. But he has those two planets sitting there. So this is where he's going to try and have people in power help him, older friends. What else can I say about this? That's about it. Saturn, older friends, Neptune, illusion and delusions. And let's see if I have any notes on that here. No, I don't. Okay, 12th house, last house. He has Mercury in Aries. And when you have a Mercury in Aries, first of all, the 12th house is the house of the deep subconscious mind. If the third house is your mental clarity, the 12th house is the deep subconscious mind. He has Mercury there in Aries. Now that means, Aries is a very fire sign. So his thought process is very acute. It's very quick. Let me go and find Mars here for you. Oh my God, where is it? I'm sorry. We're having a windstorm here, and I think it's just making my internet so damn slow. Mars, 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 where are you? Moon. Excuse me, Mercury, not Mars. Mercury in Aries. So this is an individual who's very impulsive and spontaneous thinker. And this placement will create someone who needs to develop a much greater presence of patience and self-control. In order to use his quick-witted mind to his fullest potential, this is what he has to learn: patience and self-control. Mercury is our thought process, how we think, and there's no limit. He's full of bright ideas, but he's not so strong on discipline and harnessing in those ideas and creating some discipline to follow through on them. So he could start projects and never finish them. But this placement also enjoys debate and argument and can have a very sharp tongue. With Mercury in the 12th house in Aries, that is a placement that can rip you a new asshole. Now, one of the greatest challenges for him is going to be to develop greater concentration and self-control. This is his downfall, and this is one of his weaknesses, is he doesn't have any self-control. He doesn't have any self-discipline. Now, that may be, he might have that now, but he doesn't have that. He may have had that now, but not when he was younger. As we age, we can mature into certain things. So you see, and this is exactly why I don't go on TikTok and I go on YouTube. You people on here get so fucking butthurt, but it's the undiluted truth. So you know what? Fuck you. I'll just stick to YouTube. Apparently that's where the adults are, because they're sure the fuck not in here. Or do I need to get a mediator? Maybe that's what I need to do. Hey, sweet butterfly girl. I'm live on YouTube too, but I got a community guideline violation because I deal with a bunch of pussies. So I will end my live. If you want me to finish up, you can go to YouTube to finish up. Bye-bye. All right. I was at the 12th house, so. All right. So I'm finishing up here with his Mercury in his 12th house. I'm sorry about that, YouTube. I did this live on TikTok too. Like I said, got a community guideline violation. So you know what? I'm just, fuck these people. So I've decided I was going to go on TikTok and do the CEOs. Fuck that. I'm not even going to waste my fucking time. I'm pissed now. So anyway, Aries, he's going to have to learn some self-discipline. With this placement too, how can I put this? He's a worrywart. He will worry about others and himself excessively. And that can be a downfall. That can kind of create some issues for him. So he's got to try not to do that. And that is about it. Now, I will say this in conclusion, the next dragon shifts in July. It's going to be sitting on his 12th, which is in Aries, and his 6th house. The tail will be in the 6th house. Oh, Christ. And don't step. Okay. Hi. Hello. Come on, lady. I'm in the middle of a broadcast. So the tail is going to be sitting in the 6th house. 6th house is the house of health and service to the world. And he is genuinely a healthy individual. So if there are health problems, it could be something minor. This energy stays until about mid-January 2025. So he's got a whole year and a half of this energy. But 6th house is work life and service to the world and health. So might have some kidney issues, kidney stones, kidney infections. Libra rules the kidneys, so it would make sense. But it can also create issues with his work life. Libra in its negative, Libra in its positive is laws, justice. It's the balancing of energies. When it's in its negative, when the tail is going to be in its negative, it's going to be about injustice. It's going to be the opposite. It's going to be about unjust ways, and it's going to be a direct hit towards the arts because Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus rules the arts. So unfortunately, I'll talk more about what's coming later on, but he will have some issues in his 12th house Aries and his 6th house of Libra. And that is just a very brief analysis of Mr. Zuckerberg's stars. Oh, I know. They're idiots. It's like, I'm like reading some of the things and I'm like, I don't give a fuck what I look like. You don't like my hair? Fine. I'm not here for that. Jesus. Go figure, it is what it is. So I will come back on here probably tomorrow or do a pre-record later this evening of Facebook, even though I don't have a date on Facebook. I just have the month, which was February 2004. I can see where the dragon's tail is and all of that. I don't necessarily need a date. It would be helpful, but and I'm also going to do the stars of, I have them here. I wrote them down. I just have to go and do them. I want to say his name correctly. So before I open my big mouth. Now, TikTok. TikTok was created on May 2nd, 2018. Let's see. And it has a dragon's head in Cancer in the third house. So, communication, it's blessed by communication. Mr. Chu, thank you. I didn't want to say his name wrong. I'm like, okay, where's his name? Yes, Mr. Chu. Now, his birthday, he's January 1st, 1983. So this is a businessman, Capricorn. I'm going to go and look closer into his stars. He has a natal Cancer as well on the 7th house, and the tail sits on his first house in Capricorn. So he's a Capricorn, but he has a dragon's tail sitting on Capricorn. I will say this about what I'm seeing directly in his stars is that he may be doing this CEO for TikTok now, but he's destined for other things, greater things that deal with the world of Cancer, which deals with real estate, which deals with hospitality, family, cooking, things like that. He's probably an incredible cook. If he has children, he's probably an excellent father. What else can I say? Just by looking here. Now, with the tail, his dragon tail sitting in Capricorn, do you really think it's an accident that when he went to Congress, which is a Saturnian Capricorn energy, that they didn't even let him get a word in edgewise? Looking at his stars, that makes perfect sense. I do too, sweet butterfly girl. I do too. I look at people's eyes. You know, even my mom says when you look at someone's eyes, you can tell whether they're malalocchio, in Italian that means bad eyes, evil eyes, or if they're good. He has kind eyes. He has very kind eyes. Zuckerberg, on the other hand, not so kind. Zuckerberg is very fueled by money and greed. And Zuckerberg is very jealous of him. Let's see. He's a Capricorn. So this affects Zuckerberg's 9th house because his sun sits in the 9th for him, where he shines. I'm going to have to look deeper into this man's chart before I make any more assumptions or accusations or anything. But those Congress people couldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He's smart and has integrity. And you can tell Zuck looks like a damn robot. Great. I agree. I didn't watch the Congress hearings. I've seen bits and pieces of it. And I am like really ashamed to be an American in some ways. I'm sorry to say that. But our Congress are a bunch of buffoons. They're like a bunch of monkeys. That's an insult to monkeys because monkeys are more educated and have more smarts than our Congress right now. You ask a man, if you ask someone a question, common decency, and if you're interrogating someone, common decency is to let that person speak and answer. This wasn't to get a rundown on or information on TikTok. This was a lynch mob in some ways. You could just clearly tell by some of the comments made by Congress. I mean, there was one congressman who wanted to know if they hook up to Wi-Fi. Really? Are you that fucking stupid? If you shouldn't even be in Congress then. If you're going to ask a stupid question like that. And this poor man, Mr. Chu, just, you could tell the look on his face is like, God, I'm surrounded by a bunch of fucking idiots. How embarrassing. But if you search farther down the rabbit hole, you're going to see that many of our Congress, both Democrat and Republican, are heavily invested in Meta and Facebook. Now, you know this because I deal in finances as well. So I go down that rabbit hole. They're very invested in this. as in stock, whatever it is they're buying. Very invested in Meta. And so Mark Zuckerberg is pretty much owned by our American Congress and lobbyists. Like I said, our government has him by the balls for something, somehow, some way. I don't know. What else can I say here? I think that's about it. Only thing I'm going to end on is this. We have Saturn in Pisces right now, and I think a lot of you, especially on TikTok, are realizing that you're noticing that, look, Congress, both Democrats, this is the first time two parties have agreed on something. And it's going to hurt the Democrats more than it hurts the Republicans. And you've pissed off an entire generation that are coming after you. They're coming after you. The Gen Z generation is coming after you, Congress, and Zuckerberg. But with Saturn in Pisces, this is where we take off our rose-colored glasses. This is where we are learning now that it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. They're all in it together. People are having this aha moment, and that's probably the only good thing that's coming out of this, is people are going, holy shit. Anyway, First Amendment rights are on the line here. And like I said in my TikTok, why aren't we going after Reddit that's Chinese-based, or Snapchat, which is Chinese-based, or Telegraph or Telegram, whatever that's called, that's based in Russia? There's so many other social media networks that are based in China. And education could tell you, if you just fall farther down the rabbit hole, that Facebook has had its fair share of violations and giving information away and things like that. It's not just a TikTok issue, it's a social media issue. Now, the reason social media is upset and mainstream media is because more and more people are getting their news from TikTok and not these main media groups like ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, CNN. They're getting it from other news organizations that are preaching the truth. I get more truth from TikTok than I ever have from my mainstream news media. I've learned a lot. It's been a very enlightening journey. I do hope it sticks around, but only time will tell. I'll run the stars on TikTok as well and see what we come up with. But please remember who controls our media. Whoever controls the information controls the people. That controls the media. Billionaires are controlling your media. That's another reason they don't want TikTok, is because people are getting the truth from other places. We just bombed Syria. Happened 3 or 4 days ago. Just made it into the mainstream media yesterday evening. It was the first time I saw it. So if you don't think our media is being controlled and dictated, think again. TikTok is news made by the people. Facebook had all kinds of news articles controlled and manipulated. Exactly. Please remember, we are in a Scorpio dragon's tail. So we have this energy for a couple of more months until July. More and more stuff is going to come to light, okay, about Zuckerberg. More and more stuff is going to come to light, and it will be that Gen Z generation that exposes it. But yes, I prefer TikTok over Facebook. I very rarely go on Facebook. The only reason I do is because I run a business on there, which in reality, that business, I have more followers on TikTok than I do combined between my YouTube and my Facebook. So what does that tell you? Mark Zuckerberg needs to work on his algorithms and he needs to work on a whole lot of other things. Facebook is a dinosaur, and that's the problem. He's jealous. He's jealous. So, all right. Sweet butterfly girl, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try and come back on here either probably Tuesday. I'm going to do a whole bunch of videos on Tuesday. But thanks for tuning in. And like I said, this was just a very brief analysis. I am going to write up his whole chart on my website, astrologywitch.com. That'll happen in the next couple of hours. So keep an eye on that. And all of you out there, hope you have a good rest of your Sunday and have a great Monday. Sweet butterfly girl, thanks for tuning. And all of you out there, I'll see you soon. Ciao. Bye, sweet butterfly girl.